Coming up on Gamers Week podcast. Do kids give a about this damn Cybertruck?
They think it's cool looking. Some of them think it's cool looking.
If a child designed a truck, that's how the child would design it. And similar to the DeLorean, it takes either a child or a cokehead to come up with these kinds of designs. So...
No.
Oh my God.
It becomes a brainstorm between a child and a cokehead. Like, all right, man. We should probably put some more angles on that. Thanks, buddy.
It's got a board meeting between a couple of cokeheads and a couple of kids, put them in a room, throw them some pizza and some juice boxes and let them have at it.
Only stipulation is that cokeheads can't touch the crayons. That's the only stipulation.
Well, how are you supposed to get things done if the cokeheads don't get to share the crayons?
They're coaches. They're helping, right? So glad we started talking about this.
We got to reach the finger in and kind of, things up.
You used to be the person that would gag with those things, and now you're the one who's bringing them up.
No, I gag at certain things. Like if you start describing tastes and smells and all that stuff, then
usually about 6 inches, right? After that, somehow I feel like that's the cold open. Oh, damn it.
We sit here long enough, you guys just give me gold.
All right. If you guys are ready, I'll go ahead and go live.
Let's do it.
Let's go! Oh, hey, everybody. Hi. You caught me.
Are we live?
He was live. He perfectly timed that. I was very impressed.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 126, and today is Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. My name is Blue Williams, and I'll be your host for this evening. But I am not alone. As you can see, I am joined by two fine co-hosts. My co-hosts are secret stars of this sexy stage, and their sold-out burlesque shows will titillate or haunt your dreams for years to come. Please say hello to Ryan Payne, a.k.a. Madam Twinkie West, the tantalizing trifle from Tempe, and the real Donnie G, a.k.a. Lady Candy Cummings, the Zanzibar Zipper.
Zanzibar Zipper?
And I will tell you that your burlesque names come courtesy of an AI burlesque name generator.
Oh, fantastic.
That's Candy Cummings. Okay.
Candy Cummings. Lady Candy Cummings.
Lady Candy. You address me properly with my title as a lady.
Only when you're in costume, though. So if you go get your feather boa, we can get started.
Now, that's the question. Does Donnie G own a feather boa?
No, the question is how many feather boas does Donnie G own?
Right.
All right, let's get the show started with our reviews, reactions, and requests. At Ben Magnet 27 says, "Oh, Retro Game Brews is gonna hate me. Pre-pandemic, my fiance and I were members of a laser quest close to our house. It was our fun workout once or twice a month."
I do not hate him for that, and I love that. I'll be honest with you, 99% of the members that would come to a Laser Quest when I worked there were great. It's the 1% that I remember that were awful. So as long as you were one of the 1% for that crew, Ben, I'm sure you were fantastic. Only other criticism, laser spelled with an S and not a Z. You're welcome very much.
Oh, he got you on that one,
Actually. At GoldenEye 1971 says, "I'd trade my Klondike bar for a Deadpool controller."
Yup.
What would you do for a butt controller?
We know it's going to be the ending sound this week.
Ah! Every time.
Every time. And at Knox7 says, hope the Deadpool butt controller is rechargeable or things could get awkward while changing the batteries.
How do I open this here and slide
Just shove it between the cheeks.
No, I'm just saying, a little spit on it, right? Properly taking care of the lubrication piece to it. And yeah.
Give it the hawk to
Yep, the hawk to
Get a smaller battery to kind of open him
there
up a
we
little.
go. Right. Prime the hole.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The AAA before the D goes in.
No notes. That's a good one.
Right. None.
All right, let's move on to our patron shoutouts.
We couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Canair, Doongie Forever, Agil 2020, Ducks in Disguise, Don't Make Me Pull Over This Car, Sir Coffee of Houseblend, first of his name, Hybrid Divide, Meadow 1606, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, the Red Ox PDX family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach Huge Thinks, Number One Blue Sick Voice fan, John Baran, Sassy Sony, Evo Lust, Rai Secret Best Friend, Mega Retro Man, Gamma Troid, Moradib, Michael Lakite, Emo-esque, Bill Tucker, The Real Retro Game Brews, Fruitcakes Pickled Pepper, Ducks with Thick Thighs, Wizard of Zardoz, Bobson Dugnut, Loudmoth, Retroblast Pat, BNT Zillaguy, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, and Crunchy Kong. If you like what you hear today, and we really hope you do, please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing like prizes and giveaways. You'll also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more. And why are you guys chuckling like two little schoolgirls?
Read the chat. Satisfaction is killing it right now.
Right. He says, imagine this controller had smell like the pizza one. You're playing and suddenly you hear from the bottom.
Well done. Applause for that. Well done. Well done.
It's like the Wii U controller that had the fan, so maybe they install a little fan on the butt and just...
What do Deadpool farts smell like is the question.
I don't think that's a question that needs answering, honestly.
Well, and I mean, especially when you're described as you look like an avocado had sex with an ugly, angry avocado.
So moist.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and jump into our headlines? This headline segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic, family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and Hugh pick 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. And right now, they're playing through Warbirds and Timber. Send your answers to email at retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes.
I'm going down. I'm yelling timber. You better run. You better dance. What is timber?
I have no idea. I know what Warbirds is.
Timber.
It looked like it was a very Mario-esque character cutting down trees while some angry man tried to stop him.
Okay. All right. And Warbirds. What about that one?
So Warbirds was a dogfighting game on the PC back in the 90s, which was actually pretty good. Graphics were fantastic. So it was like a cockpit one too. So it wasn't like a third person. You were actually in the cockpit shooting down planes. In the cockpit. But yeah, I think it's, if I remember right too, it's set either in World War II or World War One, where you're doing prop planes and doing that kind of stuff. So a fun game. Definitely, like I said, really good looking, though, for the 90s.
Massively multiplayer online and offline flight simulation video game. Looks pretty good.
I think there's been a bunch of different ones since then, too.
Okay. I'd play it.
Yeah, you would.
I'd play it so hard.
You'd play with that cockpit.
Okay. Let's head into the week's quick takes. First up, after 2 seasons, Paramount Plus has canceled its live-action Halo series. Halo's premiere set a viewership record on Paramount Plus, and it was the most in-demand video game IP in 2022, according to Parrot Analytics. However, the series clearly did not manage to sustain enough of this audience for Paramount Plus to renew it for a 3rd season. It currently sits at a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb. According to Deadline, Amblin Television, Xbox, and 343 Industries are currently looking for a new home for the Halo series. And if you are just listening, you are missing the displays of emotion from both of the boys here. Ryan, why don't you start?
So mine's probably going to be the hot take. If you go across the internet, I think a vast majority of people will say that this sucked. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a great glimpse into the Halo universe. And one of the things I liked about it is that it didn't necessarily stick to the canon as much. And the reason I like that is because I don't think that Halo is the kind of story that you can be adapted that easily into an IP without, maybe a movie, sure, but not a series in which you're going to be kind of covering along. You need to put something else into it. And I thought that the narrative behind it was really fantastic. I thought the acting was really good. The action sequences were great, especially in the first season. And to me, I got to be honest with you, I was disappointed that it wasn't going to get a 3rd season because I was looking forward to that. But at the end of the day, if you can kind of separate yourself away from the fact that, yes, it's a beloved IP and that there's a lot of people that want it to be similar. It's interesting to me, though, is often what I hear is it's not close enough to the source material, right? And then when it is too close to the source material, people complain that it's boring or whatever. So no, I don't think that there's ever a way that you can take an IP like this and make it perfect for everybody. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, action sequences were fantastic. The guy who plays Master Chief was great. One of the biggest complaints I hear is don't take the helmet off. Well, I want to know more about Master Chief as a person. I don't need him to just be somebody that kills things. So I really liked the character development in that piece by him having the helmet off. And just fingers crossed that it gets picked up by another network.
Well, quick counterpoint before we turn to Donaldo, Lady Candy Cummings. If it's not going to stick to the lore of the IP, if it's going to tell a new story, why does it need to be called Halo?
That's a fantastic question. I think one of the things that it definitely did well, though, is that it skirted around the IP. It wasn't something that was completely different. So it borrowed heavily from some of the different, we'll say, lore to it in a way, right? Where it's the Master Chief and the fact that there's cybernetic soldiers and these Spartans and that kind of thing. So it definitely added to the story, I think. But I think people just wanted a pew-pew series rather than something that had a little bit more depth.
Mm-hmm. Webhead said, did you have to know Master Chief that well? Wasn't he naked?
He was naked at one point. Yeah, whatever. I didn't go and rewind it.
I saw a screenshot.
More than a couple times.
I don't think I would have complained about that. But Donaldo, rebuttal.
I don't really have a rebuttal. I've never been that much into Halo, the game series, and whenever they announced the Halo live action television series, I was just like, okay, maybe I'll watch it, probably not. And from the sound of it, I know Ryan's a big fan, and I'm not shitting on the IP or anything like that just because he likes it. I do like space stuff, but then again, I don't like space stuff. I like Star Wars, but then I don't like all of Star Wars. I like Star Trek a little, but I don't like all of Star Trek. And most games that are set in space, I tend to stay away from because I just can't. I just don't really like that particular setting. So I never watched Halo. I don't think I plan on it. And the fact that they're canceling the series doesn't really affect me either way. No, it's like cry for me, yes, show me your tears, drown me in your tears. But then I'm like, okay, whatever.
I do think though that this suffered from the loud voices in the room getting most of the press. Is what I think happened there. I mean, there was a lot of outcry on this on social media. And one of the biggest loud pieces to that is that people were upset that there were relationships in it that they didn't expect to see. There were characters that were not heterosexual in it, and that bothered some people.
Okay.
To that, I say grow the up, first of all. And second, I think that, again, those were the folks that were screaming the loudest and drowned out everybody else. So, but I also got to imagine that this was also a financial thing. Even though it probably broke records, I would imagine the second season probably didn't do as good as the first.
Yeah. I didn't watch it. I wasn't particularly interested. And then as it went on, as you said, I didn't hear good things. I think, yeah, of course, there's bad press when, from those types of people you mentioned. But if enough people really loved it, then those people their voices wouldn't have mattered. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of the problem. But hopefully they find a new home for the fans.
Fingers crossed. You know what? I bet you it becomes a cult classic. Just going to say.
It's going to go the way of Firefly.
Yep.
All right. Next up, the FTC is continuing its feud with Microsoft over the company's $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The FTC has made a filing in the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that slams the new Xbox Game Pass standard tier as a degraded product. Moreover, the FTC argues that Microsoft's actions fly in the face of how the company promised it would conduct itself if the merger with Activision Blizzard was approved. Microsoft hasn't taken the criticism lightly, and in a recent counter letter sent to the court, Microsoft states that the FTC presents a misleading, extra record account of the facts that is a continuation of the agency's attempts to reinvent its case on appeal. I thought we were done with this. I
did too, but I got to agree a little bit with the FTC because we were just talking about this when they raised the prices of it and the bottom tier being $5 less than the upper tier. And we were like, what are you getting for $14.99? So I can see what they mean by that. I don't think that this is complete fabrication, but man, that response letter had some vitriol to it. I kind of liked it.
Do you feel that Microsoft feels like they're being bullied by the FTC?
I would imagine, one of the things that they pushed so hard in order to get this to go through, and I'm sure they made concessions, but to your point, it feels like it's personal in a way, Yeah. I can't think of a record or a time in which the FTC tried so hard to fuck over a deal compared to this. But then again, it's not every day a $69 billion acquisition of another company happens.
Of course.
Yeah. Ducks in Disguise in the chat says, yeah, without the day one games, especially, it's like, why?
Right.
Why even bother? don't even know if I would say that Microsoft is being bullied by the FTC. It seemed the FTC is kind of embarrassing itself a little bit at this point. Right. It's like, bud, you lost the fight. Let it go. Just walk away. Let's all go on with our lives. But like the response letter from Microsoft said, now they're trying to bring in arguments that they really didn't seem to care about in the original trial. And the original trial was so focused on Call of Duty, and Microsoft has thus far upheld its end of the deal with regards to Call of Duty. So the FTC is now saying that they can't make any changes at all to their lines of business without it being like proof that they intended the entire time to screw over the American public. It's just ridiculous.
And it's to your point as well, that whole embarrassment factor and what have you, it seems personal, right? In that sense too, right? Where if it wasn't, I don't think that they would be taking this much time in order to make a stink on this, right? And then to refer to something as a degraded product, that's also a little shade in there.
Right.
Overall, though, I don't remember specifically what their stipulation was in order to get the merger. So this could have been put out in plain English for all I know, right? Where it said you're going to continue the tiers or something like that, or making sure that you're not raising prices where it's unnecessary, or you're providing people with the same level of customer experience, something like that. So I don't know, but
we didn't read the fine print. We weren't. That's
right. I didn't read the T&Cs.
That's not our job. People summarize that for us.
Right.
And then we report it here.
T's
All right. Next up, Elon Musk's Tesla Cybertruck is now available to buy in Fortnite. Many other games have featured Elon Musk's wheels before, but only via unofficial mods. Developer Epic Games shared a trailer featuring Fortnite mascot Fishstick riding in a Cybertruck and blowing a kiss towards the camera. The trailer is a nod to an official Tesla video of a Cybertruck in a tug-of-war with a Ford 4x4. Tesla's original video shows the Cybertruck winning, though Ford said Tesla cheated and asked for a rematch.
So are the Cybertrucks failing at an incredible rate in Fortnite, just like in real life?
Well, in the game, you can only drive at a certain distance before it dies, and you have to recharge it.
Yep.
Oh my God. So we have a choice on Gamers Week podcast, whether to verify our account on Twitter or not. And we have chosen not to do that. And I think part of that decision, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we don't want to give more money to Elon Musk. So I got to be honest with you. This doesn't excite me whatsoever. In fact, it repulses me a bit that somehow he's going to get more money off of this stupid truck that he deserves. And just gives me another reason not to buy skins or play Fortnite. I got to be honest.
I mean, who is this even for? Do kids give a f*** about this damn Cybertruck?
They think it's cool looking. Some of them think it's cool looking.
I think it's more of like a meme thing where they can like, look, I'm in a Cybertruck. Yeah. Funny, right? Where
fair.
It's more of a novelty than it is like, I want to buy this thing.
So your super expensive product, people are interested in it only because it sucks and it's a meme?
Yeah. That keeps the meme machine going, man. Do anything for the memes.
Elon was proud.
I will say I've seen a lot of these go up on Facebook Marketplace. The Cybertruck.
That's where I would sell on
already.
Facebook Marketplace.
And they're like for $112,000 and you can buy it now. So,
well, they take an out-of-state check.
Third-party payroll, out-of-state check. So Duck says, so many potential jokes. The trucks in real life graphics are worse than Fortnite's Switch version. When did Fortnite get a PS1 mode? I mean, I wouldn't say it's a revolutionary design. It reminds me of the DeLorean's design back in the 80s, whenever I first look at the Cybertrucks. You know, I know it's trying to stand out. It's trying to be cool, hip. It's with it. But the fact that your truck is failing at an incredible rate and it's the laughing stock, not just that, but also the self-driving feature and whatnot. And your stocks are plummeting, bro. And now you're turning to Fortnite. You're turning to little kids playing games. You know, you got to make that money. I respect the hustle, but I don't think that's going to be enough to save you.
No. I mean, it looks like if a child designed a truck, that's how the child would design it. And similar to the DeLorean, it takes either a child or a cokehead to come up with these kinds of designs. So
No.
Oh my God.
It becomes a brainstorm between a child and a cokehead. Like, all right, man. We should probably put some more angles on that. Thanks, buddy.
It's got a board meeting between a couple of cokeheads and a couple of kids. Put them in a room, throw them some pizza and some juice boxes, and let them have at it.
Only stipulation is that cokeheads can't touch the crayons. That's the only stipulation.
Well, how are you supposed to get things done if the cokeheads don't get to share the crayons?
They're coaches. They're helping, right? And just one more thing. How much do you want to bet that Ninja gets a free Cybertruck out of this to like promote it?
That's a name I haven't thought of in.
Is he still big in the
Is
Fortnite
he
community?
He's still got to be a thing, right?
I haven't heard of him.
Now I feel old for bringing up something that was popular 3 years ago. People are like, nobody cares about Ninja, you nerd.
All right, next up. It's been almost 6 years since a new Mega Man game came out, but Capcom claims it still has future plans for the franchise. The company was asked about the Blue Bomber series during a recent shareholders meeting. According to VGC, a person inquired about what's going on with the traditionally side-scrolling series, which hasn't seen a new entry since Mega Man 11 in 2018. Capcom responded, Mega Man is one of our highly valued IPs, and we are considering how to create games for it on an ongoing basis.
Typical corporate response.
Yeah, we're not making games. It's in consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see ya in 2030, maybe?
God. 6 years away from 2030s. Are you kidding me?
How many
That just
years,
hit you, didn't it?
How many years
It
between
did.
Mega Man 10 and Mega Man 11?
It was pretty close. So Mega Man 9, 10, and 11 came out relatively close to each other, if memory serves me right. They were just NES versions of Mega Man games they put on, I want to say, Xbox originally. And then, obviously 8 and 7. 8 was on the PlayStation 1, 7 was on the Super Nintendo, and then 1 through 6 was on the NES. But it doesn't have to be a Mega Man game, like an original one. I would do a Mega Man X game. Those games were pretty popular for a while. They got weird eventually, though, and kind of crappy again. So it's living up to that whole thing about Mega Man games feeling kind of like formulaic.
What would you consider the difference between the Mega Man X and the regular Mega Man games?
So the regular Mega Man games have just a simple formula, the boss battles, and then
How Sonic-y the lore got?
You collect the standard weapons for the bosses, and then you go through a gauntlet to kill Wily. Like that's just the standard formula. With the X games, there's a little bit more story. You also upgrade your own body armor throughout, right? So it's your armor, your gun, all that kind of stuff. So it's like it's upgrades, and it continued on into the PlayStation era. So you got some pretty good graphics and stuff. But eventually, they started going to having bosses being things like clowns and stuff.
You're gonna die, clown.
It just got a little weird. It got a little played out.
So something new, something like a rebrand or new features or something like that would probably rejuvenate, revitalize.
Yeah, and don't give me a remake.
No, we definitely don't need a remake.
Right.
Or a remaster.
Don't need that.
No.
It's and anytime they've tried to remaster. So they even did it on the Sega Genesis with the Wily Wars. They did Mega Man 1 through 3 and then its own Mega Man game after you beat 1 through 3. But the problem was that they made the sprite of Mega Man too big. So it's like, hey, you know what? Let's take an already hard game and let's just make it harder for you because you're going to get hit more often.
Webhead says we need a Mega Man beat 'em up.
Well, isn't he in Smash Bros?
Yes.
That's not a beat 'em up. That's a fighting game.
Oh, that's a good point. That's not, yeah. To your point, I was like, yeah. So you're right. So just him going along in like 3D, like pew pew pew, give him the lemons out.
Yeah. Well, if you're not going to just keep doing the same Mega Man formula, what are you going to do with it?
Well, they did Mega Man Cyber Network, which was the stupidest concept. I hated it so much. It was like an RPG where it was like turn-based combat.
You mean the Battle Network?
Yeah, Battle Network. And it wasn't turn-based. It was like, technically turn-based, but it was like almost like tactics. It was like a tactics game.
Mm-hmm.
So two things are for sure, that when I'm in my 50s and 60s, there's going to be new Mega Man content and more than likely a new Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah, next year is looking good for you, man.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
Yourself. Sorry for more work, Blue, but he can go do that.
I think the real question is whether it will still be the same Fast and Furious crew or they'll have remade it by now.
It's their kids. It's now their kids taking over the thing.
Oh, God, that could totally happen too.
AI exists. We're going to have AI Fast and the Furious movies, right? And they're never going to die. They're just going to continue to not age, We'll have
AI everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next, it's estimated that Resident Evil 7 on iOS has only earned Capcom just over $28,000 since its launch on July 2nd. Numbers from AppMagic and MobileGamer.biz suggest that as few as 2,000 people have actually paid for the game, although it has been downloaded over 80,000 times, meaning that almost 98% of potential customers download the game, play the short demo section, and then walk away as soon as ponying up for the game's $20 purchase price becomes necessary to continue. Resident Evil 7 was originally released 8 years ago and has been available for every major gaming platform of the past 2 generations. So Capcom needs to really look seriously at Mega Man if they're not getting the money out of the Resident Evil 7 mobile port.
Ouch town population, you bro.
Yeah.
So how is that played? How do you use your iPhone or your iPad as a controller? Are there like buttons on the screen where you?
I would imagine.
Or Bluetooth in a controller.
Yeah, you could do that as well. But that, to me, that sounds like too much work. Playing Resident Evil 7 on a small screen like this, no, that's not going to work for me. And unless I have like an iPad Pro that's the size of my my monitor here, again, that's not going to work for me. My old eyes wouldn't be able to pick up smaller stuff in an older game like Resident Evil 7 on a smaller device. So, yeah, you can only imagine people like wanting to play this for a little bit, and you want me to pony up for a full game for $20 for this game? How long has this game been out?
8-year-old game that is widely available pretty much anywhere else you could possibly want to play it.
Right. And I can get it on a Steam sale for like $1.99. So Capcom, come on, man.
Yeah, there's all this talk about how the mobile gaming industry is gonna be all that games are gonna become, and it's where the future is for video gaming and blah blah blah. But I think that this really has revealed the weaknesses in that argument because it's an area where audiences are used to not having to pay for things up front. Almost everything is free to play and you just spend money if you want to. And then B, it reveals the weakness of like, oh, we'll just recycle our successful titles over to mobile and get a bunch more money. Clearly, people aren't into that. If you can play it somewhere else, they're going to. So are you going to go through all the work of porting these titles to not make back your money? Or are you going to invest in what it takes to create AAA games that are good enough on their own right to be mobile titles? I kind of don't really see either of those things happening.
And I think one of the things you're running into as well is if Capcom thought that this was going to be a popular port for a game that's 8 years old onto their system, mobile gamers nowadays are typically younger kids. They're Roblox. They're playing Minecraft on their phones and stuff, or Candy Crush or whatever. Most of them, I would say, are not console gamers. So why would a console port of a game that's more than likely watered down and difficult to play? Because, like Donnie said, the controls are on screen, for you to be able to utilize. I guess what I'm saying is I would have loved to be in that boardroom when somebody pitched this and everybody went, yeah, this is going to work out. It's going to make us so much money.
I really think they just thought it was going to be easy money. We put it out and just sit back and let the cash flow in. And it's kind of funny. It didn't really work out that way at all.
And now they don't have enough money to buy a car.
a base model.
Right.
But to your point with the controller, there are things on the screen like, okay, you have a controller representation on your screen with the D-pad and the buttons, but you don't know exactly when your fingers are slipping off of that controller because there's no feel to it. So if you're playing this game and next thing you know, you're like looking somewhere else, or you're not as focused or whatnot, and something goes wrong and you die, well, then you look down like, oh, my finger was just slightly off the deep or the pressure sensor of the pad, so it didn't register and yada, yada, yada. That's very cumbersome. That's another reason why I don't think this is going to work, or people were going to be using that to play. But if you could, if an option to bring your own controller and sync it up via Bluetooth, I like it, but again, I don't think a lot of people are going to take that route when this game is widely available on so many other resources.
Well, and another thing to think about is that mobile gaming is for on the go, right? That's typically what people use it for. But Resident Evil 7 is not an on the go type game. Like you were saying, if you get distracted, then you're not going to do well. This is a game you have to sit down and focus on, and it's not good for a 15-minute commute on the bus or something.
And also, it's kind of a violent game. Would you want to play that if you're on the bus?
Headphones?
I guess, maybe, right? But still, you got the kid who's sitting behind you going, oh my God.
I'm not responsible for somebody else's kid.
Fair enough.
All right. During the company's quarterly earnings announcement, Netflix shared that it plans to launch a multiplayer game inspired by Squid Game. Its release date will be timed to coincide with the second season of the South Korean TV sensation. The program has already spawned several spin-offs for the streaming service. After season 1 became an international sensation in 2021, Netflix created a virtual reality version as well as an in-person pop-up experience in Los Angeles based on the fictional reality show. The company also teamed with a British production company to create Squid Game: The Challenge, an actual reality TV show that is fortunately a lot less lethal than its source material.
Boo.
Unfortunately. It should have said unfortunately.
Right.
And I like how they put Squid Game, what was it?
The Challenge.
The Challenge. It's just like Spaceballs. Spaceballs, the coloring book. Spaceballs, the flamethrower. Squid Game, The Challenge.
You could do a Squid Game coloring book. That would be kind of fun. You read a red crayon, but
It's the adult coloring book of Squid Game.
right. But I mean, the first season of Squid Game was amazing because it was new and it was unexpected. Now you've been through a season. Now you know what the Squid Game is all about. They showed enough of behind the scenes that you kind of know that part of it. There's nothing left to tell. And this was a fad, and Netflix is just trying to squeeze every last drop of money that they can get out of this fad. And this is just the latest evidence of that.
I don't know, though. If it ends up being something like Among Us or something like that, like I wouldn't be terribly opposed to that if the game ended up being fun. But that being said, I don't have a whole lot of faith in Netflix creating something that's going to live up to that. Because, I mean, if you think about it, too, like Among Us was an indie game, and that came out of nowhere.
Well, and you don't have any faith that Netflix can create this game and make it fun. Netflix didn't even create Squid Game.
That's a good point.
They're just a platform that aired it. It was some other indie creator, essentially, that made Squid Game the show. And then they went back to that guy and said, we'll give you a ton more money if you make us another one. And who would turn that down, even if there's no more story to tell?
Right.
I mean, that was if I could give one criticism of the first series, it seemed like the last episode was rewritten at the final minute just to try to open it up for a second season. It very much was just stuck on the end and didn't seem to fit anything.
So what you're saying is you're not going to buy this?
No. But if it's on the streaming service, I wouldn't have to anyway. It should be free with my subscription, right?
Yeah. Unless Netflix says, wait a second, we know how popular Squid Game was. Let's create a different tier. And now we're going to take these little IPs and put them in this other tier.
That would be
you're going to have to pay more. And I think we are not too far away from that. You know, I call the whole damn thing where everybody and their mother were going to have their own streaming services. And the same way that like DirecTV would take things out, like if I had NHL Network as part of my package, and then DirecTV's like, hey, we're going to go ahead and package. We're going to take this out and we're going to put this in a different package that's higher. And you're going to have to pay a little bit money for it. While a shitty move, I certainly see that coming down the pipe with providers like Paramount Plus or Peacock or Netflix or what have you. It's only a matter of time.
Well, you better hope that your IP that you have attached to it are good enough, because otherwise people are going to be like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm at that point where I'm ready to just cancel everything. Call off the wedding with Netflix and Prime and Hulu and all that stuff, and just be like, you know what? I don't watch TV that much anyway. Kids go outside and do something else. I don't care.
I just love that
grass now.
We all bought cable packages because it included everything that we wanted. And then we stopped watching cable because it was too expensive. And now we have to get every single individual streaming service. So people are like, well, what if we combined them all into one? I was like, that was fucking cable.
Yep, it was.
History is cyclical.
Like the Terminator.
All right, last up. Your protagonist in Dragon Age the Veilguard can be voiced by Baldur Gate 3's sex noise specialist, who laments that they sit atop a throne of moans. BioWare announced the full cast for the Veilguard on Twitter, which includes actor Alex Jordan as one of the 4 voice options for protagonist Rook. Jordan has previous roles in Cyberpunk 2077 and Wuthering Waves, but he's most famous for Baldur Gate 3, in which he doesn't play an actual role, but was instead utilized as a sex noise specialist. I was brought into the booth to make the sexy noises, Jordan tweeted last year. Those sounds you're hearing, that's me kissing my hand. I'm not even joking. You're welcome.
I want that job.
I was going to say, my guidance counselor failed me.
Donnie, can we get an oh yeah?
Oh, yeah. Like that?
That was it.
You know, I could do a great boot stuck in mud, only wetter. You know, just like the sounds of sex should be. See?
The macaroni ball sounds.
Welcome to Gamers Week ASMR.
Ducks in Disguise says, be hot, be naughty, be courteous.
Always be courteous. May I stick this here? May I? Okay, yes.
Someone's stirring mail in there.
Oh, Retro says, you sure this isn't Gamers Week After Dark already? But
it is a little bit late.
Seriously, what a killer thing to have on your resume.
You got to get dates from that too, right? Totally, right?
And you should be able to write off your subscription to Pornhub.
I love it.
Research.
Yep, it's research.
Can you imagine submitting a receipt, a receipt report or expense report to your company? You've got all like several different porn providers, Pornhub, RedTube, whatever that is, and just membership options, all the different OnlyFans, and it's research. That's what I get.
Or can you imagine getting the script for Baldur's Gate and going, bear sex, huh? I'm gonna need to do some research here. I'm not sure where I'm gonna go.
Yeah, and Retro, I do know them all because you can't just rely on one specific provider to give you your content. You have to have multiple.
Didn't we just talk about this?
I think we did. Yeah, we did. It just can't be stale. You have to. Variety is the spice of life. So I know if one content provider is giving me this, but it's all full of it's all acting. It feels like acting, but this provider here is giving me the movie where it looks real, it looks realistic, like it could happen. Like I could walk into this pizzeria at any moment and see an extra spicy sausage getting the attention that it deserves.
Oh my God.
I like to know my options are open.
Yeah, you want your werebear sex noises to sound authentic, to sound real, not that fake porny sounds.
Right, with extra hair.
I feel like that would affect the mayo stirring sound with the hair.
We went there, folks. We went there.
Give me the heebie-jeebies.
Oh my God, my face hurts.
Let's move on to our top 3 new releases.
The star named EOS, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. The star named EOS is a story-rich puzzle adventure built around photography. I almost said photography. Recreate compositions of past photos to uncover the truth of a family mystery. Experience a harmonious mixture of beautiful hand-drawn art and engaging puzzles on a journey of reminiscence. Thrasher, Quest 3, Quest 2, PC. No Stadia? Thrasher is a mind-melting arcade action odyssey and visceral audio-visual experience. With the wave of your hand, guide a magnificent space eel through breathtaking and unsettling landscapes. Swoop, dash, and thrash to defeat wild bosses to the ultimate race for survival. Earth Defense Force 6, PS5, PS4, PC. Live the future of despair. The year is 2024 AD? God,
the future of despair.
Right, it is now. The survivors fought against the remaining threats while trying their best to continue their recovery. 3 years passed in the year 2027. In a new world without hope, the time has come to once again resist the fate of the Earth. And whoever wrote that is a just plain yogurt Plain water drinking person, because that is the blandest description I think I've ever seen of a video game.
Stuff happens. Play it.
Exactly.
Give us money and play it.
So based on these breathtaking descriptions, Blue, what are you picking this week?
Yeah, it's a rough week. I believe I will have none of these. Star named Eos, whatever, probably looks the best of the three, but I'm kind of in a place where I'm a little bit tired of like cozy puzzle games. I've had my fill of them for a while and I need a break.
Yeah.
Thrasher looks like an acid trip, but because it's VR, I could not play it, even though part of me is a little bit curious to see what's it like to get drunk and try to play this.
Oh, jeez.
It would end in disaster, but for some reason, I need to know. But I wouldn't be able to do it because it's in VR, so never mind. And Earth Defense Force 6 looks like Wish.com Helldivers 2. So with like ragdoll physics, it's not good. So yeah, I will have none of these this week.
All right. Ryan, what are you picking?
As soon as I saw Puzzle Adventure, I'm out for Star named Eos. Pretty simple there, right? I will say visually it looks nice. So there you go. Mm-hmm. It's 1 out of 5 stars on my book. Thrasher reminds me of the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey, where like just flying at your face, like neon colors and stuff. And you're going, my God, it's full of stars kind of thing. And that's when I turn off that movie. So I don't want to play a game that's like that. Right. But there is something appealing about me telling someone to come over while I play with my magnificent space eel. So maybe it's a strong maybe.
So magnificent.
And Earth Defense Force looks like it belongs on the 64. So I'm going to pass on that one as well. So yeah. 0 for 3. 0
for 3. What about you, Donnie? Anything here?
I think the pitcher just made a strikeout for all of these, for all of us. I saw the Star Named Eos trailer. Doesn't look appealing to me at all. Earth Defense Force 6, the gameplay looked as bland as its description. And then Thrasher, like immediately, like, oh, Thrasher is a skateboarding game? No, it's some weird fucking acid trip. An acid trip on acid. There doesn't seem to be a lot of movement or like walking around in the game, so I might be able to play it. The problem I have with VR is that if I'm walking and looking around, then that makes me throws up. So if I'm just sitting there looking around and controlling something, I might be able to handle that. So Thrasher is a possibility, but I'm in no rush to run out and play any of these games this week.
Well, on that terribly disappointing note, let's move on. Before we move on, however, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the people who lived it. This week, Bill continues his journey through Final Fantasy VI by looking at moments from the world of Ruin. So this week's question is, what's your favorite apocalyptic event in a video game? Let Bill know your answer by sending him a tweet at A Gamer Looks at 40 on Twitter.
The one I would pick is actually a huge spoiler for Final Fantasy VI, so I don't think I want to go like too far into it.
The spoiler is in the question. It's fine.
Yeah, fair enough, man.
So there's like halfway through the game where Kefka like destroys the entire world. Yeah. So you know what? I probably should have been like, hey, skip ahead.
Where redacted does redacted.
People know it by now.
Yeah, I would imagine. But it's still like it was just drawing the first time that you saw it. And if you've never played it now, you're not going to get the same experience. You're welcome. But all of a sudden, like the entire map changes. It's the world of Ruin. And you have to reconnect with everybody that you were playing with. And it was interesting, too, because you felt like you're kind of getting close to the end of the game. And then all of a sudden, I was like, fooled you. You're halfway there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was also a great opportunity to say, oh, I've got more of this to play. So, yep. Going to go with FF6.
All right.
6.
Donnie, do you have an answer?
I don't have a specific apocalyptic event in mind, although there are great games based on apocalyptic events. There's The Last of Us, there's Fallout, and yada, yada, yada. I even remember like in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the original one, where the nuke goes off. And like you're on a mission, and next thing you know, you're trying to find this guy who might be setting off the nuke, and then all of a sudden, boom, he sets it off. So you're in this helicopter, you're trying to get your buddies out and your teammates out. Nuke goes off, and next thing you know, it's a fiery mess going around. The helicopter's going down, and you're suffering from the radiation sickness because it went off. And that to me, whenever I first saw it, my jaw dropped. I was like, holy shit, I don't think I've ever seen a nuclear event in a video game before. So I think that's the one I'm going to pick.
Okay. I really couldn't think of a game, besides the obvious Final Fantasy VI, that has an apocalyptic event in the game. Most of the games are post-apocalyptic games. And of those, I think I'm just going to give a general shout out to Fallout, because not all the games are great, but a lot of them were really groundbreaking and amazing. And then obviously it gave us that fantastic TV show recently. So Fallout.
Nice.
Very nice.
And now, it's time for the very important poll.
All right, so every month on Twitter, we post our VIP or very important poll. And if you'd like to participate, follow us on Twitter at GamersWeekPC. Question for this month was, what other video game character deserves a controller with their butt on it?
Yes, we are going to get as much mileage out of this topic as we possibly can.
We like butts. So coming in third place, there it is. And if you're not watching the live,
subscribe for more.
If you're not watching the live show, Donnie is twerking on his camera
in cargo shorts. Woo!
No, not cargo shorts. They're my They're my acid wash, just jean shorts.
Okay, the pockets had me fooled.
I love that you were so offended by that.
Although I do still wear cargo shorts.
How dare.
All right, coming in third place, which I'm sure Blue is very upset about, is Gerald from The Witcher at
what the hell, people?
14.1%. In second place, Rainbow Mika from Street Fighter at 16.2%. And winning it in a landslide victory, it's a me, Wario, with 57.5% of the vote. Somehow I feel like this was rigged. But 12.3% of you said other. So let's take a look at some of the comments from the poll. Starting off with PSN Electric DC, Solid Snake for the memes. Evola says, Waluigi, only answer, best answer. Thanks, bye. Love the
mic drop.
Yeah, thanks, bye.
Yep. At JDragon272 said, if Capcom could do that, for sure they would do Chun-Li. Drizzy for Rizzy says, Master Chief, of course. And Wretch XXX says, Camel Toe or Bust. Which is funny because bust is another term for something else.
I think there's some Etsy shops that are definitely looking into this option.
Yes.
As I understand, it's like a magnetic plate that you can put over the back of it. So
really?
Why not? Yep.
You could change out the butts if you want to.
Well, in order to get to where the battery compartment is on the back of an Xbox controller.
You don't slide the battery between the cheeks?
No, right. There is no...
Who designed this thing?
You don't need a degree in proctology in order to change the batteries. So, yeah, I mean, I would imagine that's going to be a thing. Like these back plates are all of a sudden, like you said, going to pop up on Etsy. So if you were going on Etsy, Donnie, which one are you buying?
Oh my God, I'm buying them all. I mean, this is an untapped. No, okay, not Pokemon.
No,
but it's
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Oh God,
Pokemon. This is an untapped resource or a gold mine for revenue. Like once they start, like people are going crazy for these two controllers, and they're the only ones. So now you start making butt controllers for all of the characters in a Street Fighter series, in the Mortal Kombat series, in a Capcom series, or what have you. And I would probably more than likely, I mean, I really want one of these Deadpool or Wolverine controllers. And if you start making actual controllers of different characters, like a Blanca controller that's green, that has his jeans, his ripped jeans or anything, or Zangief with his tight little, banana hammock and like the scars and maybe a mohawk or something like that. I think you're going to bring in a lot of money if you start doing this. So
yeah, sky's the limit, right?
Of course.
But you still haven't told us which would be the first one you would buy.
I couldn't choose just one. The first one, the absolute first one that I would buy if they came out with one is a Nightcap controller.
But whose butt would it be?
I don't know. Dana Plato's or maybe one of the Augs? I don't know. There's no identifiable person. Maybe it's something that says Scat for the Scat team from Night Trap. I don't know. But if they did it with class and something that was identifiable, I would buy a Night Trap butt controller.
Right.
I couldn't resist.
Because above all, these need to be classy.
Of course, very classy.
Of course.
Now, Retro was saying Chun-Li controller. Absolutely. My first thing whenever I thought of this was a Cammy controller.
You just took Ryan's answer.
You did just take my answer. Yes, you did.
Okay, we're going to strike that from the record. I didn't.
No, it's fine. I made a really awful, really rude old joke earlier, so this is just payback.
Yeah, good segue. Ryan, what's your choice?
My favorite butt in all of video gaming has always been, in fact, I wrote an article back in the day on this.
Serious journalism.
Right. She was my first crush in video games. And the reason was because she had a superior posterior. It's definitely Cammy. Right. She's got those the paint down the legs, the nice. And every cosplayer I've ever seen has always done a Cammy cosplay. And I'm not complaining. I am absolutely not complaining. So, Geralt, don't care about that one. I know that's a big one for you, but
you're just being mean.
Rainbow Mika, sure. Wario, funny, but I think I'm going to spend a lot of time alone with Cammy, so that's what I'm going to do.
Why is he always playing video games naked?
So I chose Geralt, but there is an asterisk by it in that it needs to be the Henry Cavill version of Geralt, not the video game one. That one is good, but not as good as it could be if it was the Henry Cavill version.
Not the Wish.com version?
Right. And not the new one that we do not speak of.
Are they making a new one with somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say that I would like to choose the video game version and not the Kylie Minogue version of Cammy.
It's important. It's important to be specific about your wants and needs.
She had no booty. None whatsoever.
All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Thank you for listening to episode 126 of Gamers Week podcast. And a big thank you to the Retro Game Club podcast, Love Retro BTW, and A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter at GamersWeekPC. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/GamersWeekPodcast, where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com, or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. Finally, since you made it all the way to the end of this episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice.
I don't think we ever know how to end these one now that we're doing them on Twitch. Like before, we would just make an inappropriate comment and then go, okay, well, good night, everybody. But
now there have been exactly 0 inappropriate comments on this entire show.
You're right. So we've hit our quota.
I don't think doing it live has made much difference.
Right. All right, guys. Well, good night, everybody, and thank you for everybody who stopped by in the live show.
Good night.
Yeah, thank you.
What would you do for a butt controller?
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, patrons with benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VD STDs things, right? Make it fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
that was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.